Welcome to the Oddity Shop, where the bizarre is always on sale.
What's up, oddballs? Welcome back to the Oddity Shop. I am... What? Kara's already laughing at me. I don't know why.
Because you're like, okay, welcome.
I had to get my energy up. I'm sleepy today. Anyways, this is the podcast where we tell you creepy, odd, weird, bizarre, strange, paranormal-y stories from around the world. Kara, what the hell is up?
Literally nothing. I don't feel good. I just got over COVID and I don't feel good again.
I was going to say, absolutely nothing is kind of what we usually like for January, for like life to calm down a little bit, but migraines and COVID, not so fun.
No. What else is new? I don't know. What is new? What are the Lions doing today? We should know this. They're like in the playoffs or something. And it's the
Are
first
you asking me about
ever.
the goddamn Lions right now?
Yeah, I said we should know this, but I know we don't.
I don't know. I couldn't name you one player on that team. I think the most I've ever watched is like 10 minutes of a game. I have no idea what they're doing.
They're like in a playoff game right now, and it's the first time in like 40 years or something.
I mean, go Lions. We know they're going to fuck it up at the end.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they won't.
See, anyway. Okay. My whole social media news is nothing about the Lions, but it is all Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Yeah, mine's nothing about the Lions. That's just Aaron's watching it right now because he's like 38 years old and he's like, this is the first time in my whole entire lifetime that they've done whatever they're doing. And I think it's the playoffs, so don't ask me. But yeah, here's the thing about Gypsy.
I wanted to get your thoughts because I'm torn.
I don't know if I actually have thoughts. This is what I'm going to say. Somebody on some platform was like, don't believe Gypsy. She's a master manipulator, just like her mother. Like, she's manipulating all of us into loving her, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you fucking dumb? Duh, she's a master manipulator. Look what she learned from. Hello. There's no way that she wouldn't be a master manipulator. Whether she's manipulating you to do something bad or good, like, there's no way that woman is not a master of manipulation. However, get the fuck over it. Let her do whatever the fuck she wants. Who cares? Let her be interviewed. Let her do whatever the fuck she wants. At this point, I don't really give a shit. Do I think that she should? Do I think that she should have deserved to do time? Absolutely. Do I think that she should have got more than 8 years? I think so. Probably. I don't know if 8 years is enough. Do I think that she learned her lesson? Yeah. I guess I don't see how you wouldn't. And also, but then again, she didn't really do anything. So I don't. I mean, not that she didn't do anything, but you know what I mean? Like, her actually didn't.
Here's my thoughts on her. Okay, so before she went to prison, when she was still living with her mom and everything, right? She didn't have the celebrity status she has now, but her mom ingrained in her that if you act like a celebrity, you get things for free. And so she's gotten out of prison, and now she's doing the same sort of things, right? Where it's her team is now doing the same sort of things her mom were. We're setting her up for all these events and everything else. It's like, I think this girl just needs to maybe take a break from everything.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so too, but also, yeah, absolutely. However, in this day and age, how do you? Oh
yeah,
that?
she has no choice to do that. I mean, if she wasn't the one promoting herself on social media and taking charge of the story, everyone else would be. So it's like it's such a hard place to be in.
Yeah, and I guess it's like for her, I think that she'd rather be the one that's narrating her story and what she went through and what her life is like now versus seeing it plastered everywhere anyway. I don't know. I guess I just don't fucking care.
I've had a lot of time to go down the Gypsy Rose rabbit hole because I've been freaking snowed in for 2 days. 2 feet of snow in Grand Rapids. 2.5 hours to get my car out today. I'm losing my mind.
I don't even want to hear it. It took me 3 hours to drive home from work the other day, so you can shove it.
Yeah, but did you get 2 feet of snow?
Bro, yes. It was everywhere.
Nick was saying he only got like 5 or 6, so I didn't know how much you guys got.
We got a lot.
Ugh, I'm
Why
over
do
it.
you think it took 3 hours to get home, you idiot?
Because you don't know how to drive in the snow, you idiot.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
All right, that's all I've got. Anything, that's my excitement, Gypsy Rose and being snowed in. during my month of nothingness.
I did nothing today, but I still put makeup on because I'm sick of you making me look like a freaking thumb.
I do nothing. I post the video clips. You dress yourself. So you made you look like a thumb, even though I don't think you look like a thumb.
All right.
What do you got for me?
If you were in serious trouble, would you take down a friend and try to get out of it?
Am I the one who made the trouble, or did the friend make the trouble?
No, this friend didn't. No, your friend didn't do the trouble.
I'd probably think long and hard about it, but my guilt would take over, and I don't know if I could actually throw somebody under the bus. I would think about it. I'm not going to lie.
So if they had absolutely, the scenario for your question is they had absolutely nothing to do with the reason that you're in trouble. Let's just say they had nothing to do with it. That would come across your mind to like throw somebody else under the bus.
Oh, I guess if they had like absolutely nothing to do with it and weren't nearby, no, I'm not going to do that. But if they were with me, like okay, I think, I think anybody would be lying if they didn't think at some point like self-preservation kicks in. And
yeah, right. Absolutely.
If it was you, right under the bus. You're fine.
Same bitch. Okay.
I expect it.
All right. Are you ready?
No.
Okay. Well,
I guess I am.
Right. Let's start off with some characters, if you will. Okay. So we have some main players, some down for the ride types, some here for the party, and some I'm unsure how I got here. Okay.
Sounds like most of my college parties. All right.
All right. So I'm going to break it down. So I don't know how I got here. We have Sharon Holmes and Dawn Schiller. Down for the ride, we have William Raymond Deverell and David Lind. Here for the party, we have Joy Miller, Barbara Richardson, Susan Launius, and Tracy McCourt. And then our main characters are Ronald Launius, Adele Garib, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right, Najrala, and John Holmes.
Okay. Do I know this one?
Probably.
The names all sound so familiar, but I can't place it.
Those are our players. All right.
Okay.
Ron Launius was born May 18th, 1944. Ron was once part of the United States Air Force. Sadly, he was dishonorably discharged for smuggling heroin from Vietnam.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people were probably doing that, but...
How, you might ask?
Oh, no. Up his butt?
Oh, no. It was really easy. In the coffins of the American servicemen that died.
Okay, no, that's bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Truly unthinkable, actually.
Yeah, I'd rather him put it up his butt.
Yeah. He had too much to just go up his butthole.
Apparently so.
In 1974, he was arrested and charged for a murder that happened in 1973 that involved a police drug informant. However, the key witness was unrelatedly killed and the charges were dropped. So I don't know how unrelatedly killed, but
is he already discharged at this point and still in the drug world? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Ron was then later convicted of smuggling heroin and cocaine across the U.S.-Mexico border, and he eventually did serve 3 of his 8-year sentence in federal prison for that. An officer remarked that on Ron being one of the coldest people I ever met. At the time of Ron's death, police had 27 open homicide cases that were believed to be connected to him.
Oh my God.
27.
Okay, where I said like most people were doing heroin and let me clarify. I'm sure most were. But there was a lot of drug use going on.
I know.
But like most of them gave it up when they came home.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Ron.
So when Ron died, an officer was quoted saying, "I suppose they won't need many pallbearers because a trash can only has 2 handles."
Hopefully they put drugs in his coffin just to get some payback.
Now, Susan A. Murphy Launius. So Susan Launius was born in 1951. She was married to Ron. She often had issues with him, mostly like his lifestyle and drug issues, and they would separate from time to time, but ultimately they remained together, like married.
Okay.
William Raymond Deverell, or Billy Deverell, as he went by, was born February 14th, 1937. Billy was Ron's right-hand man, and it was said that he was the voice of reasoning for Ron. Billy had been arrested 13 times in relation to his drug addiction, and I'm just wondering what type of reasoning you are for something. Like, how are you the reasoning?
I wouldn't how you're arrested like 13 times and you're not doing hard time.
Oh, right. Well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Let's just, it's the time, I guess. Goes. Okay. So then we have Joy Audrey Gold Miller, or Joy Miller. She was born May 14th, 1935. She was Billy's girlfriend. And she had 2 teenage daughters at this time. And she was an ex-wife of a Beverly Hills attorney. And as her life changed from like the high class lifestyle that she was used to, she fell into heroin and she met Billy due to her addiction.
Oh, no.
It's just really, really great. David Lind. He was born February 14th, 1937. David was a biker and a member of the Aryan Brotherhood, which is a neo-Nazi gang.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And he joined along with Ron when he met him while they were both serving in prison. What a friendship.
So these are like stand-up guys.
These are great humans. Barbara Lee Easton Richardson, known as Butterfly, was born October 15th, 1958. And she was David Lind's 22-year-old girlfriend. And she didn't have anything on her record, no drug shit or anything really to note. She just met him at a party.
Okay. These guys all have some like names.
I know. So let's kind of forget all of that for a moment and let's imagine like the 80s party scene. So like what style are you rocking?
I mean, it's going to be like full-blown neon. Right?
You would.
That was 80s, right?
Like you would. I would want to be like 80s punk rock. You'd be like...
Swish everything.
Like you'd be at the roller rink. Neon everywhere.
Dude, I actually just saw a video of somebody at a roller rink, like in our, like it was 2023, but like there's still one open and I got so jealous. I want to go. Okay,
so I think it's like in April, Emily that I work with, she rented out a roller rink and is having a Taylor Swift roller rink party for her birthday. So if you want to go, I'll get you an invite.
I was so close, but the T Swift kills it.
What's your 80s music choice then for the party?
I was not a big 80s person. I don't know if I could even pull one out of my butt right now.
Just think of like AC/DC or something.
Okay, AC/DC or something. Okay, cool.
All right.
AC/DC in my full neons.
What would your 80s gang name be if you were in a gang? I don't even know.
I don't even know what my today gang would be. The Don't Leave Your House gang.
Right.
I'm so uncreative tonight.
All right. Well, this isn't much more creative, but the Wonderland Gang was a group of heroin-addicted drug dealers involved in the LA cocaine trade. You heard that. They were a gang of heroin addicts selling cocaine. But I will say that dollar signs just like flash in my mind, like being in a cocaine ring, like selling coke. That's a lot of money.
I feel like...
Then...
Now, I am not a hard drug user, but I feel like it'd be easier to do the coke and sell the heroin than do the heroin and sell the coke. One of them seems like it slows you down a lot more than the other.
Well, I think, yeah, but I guess cocaine was probably more wanted than heroin. I don't fucking know. So anyway, the gang got their name from the address that they partied and held up at, which was 8763 Wonderland Avenue, Laurel Canyon, Los Angeles, California. And Joy Miller was the leaseholder of this apartment. So the gang operated between the late 70s and early 80s. And the gang gained the role of the most influential and feared cocaine distribution ship of its time in Los Angeles.
Dang.
And it just seems weird to keep saying gang.
I guess with like whatever, he had 27 murders on his record. I could see why they're feared.
Yeah. Okay.
Allegedly on his record.
Yeah, right. Okay. Sharon Holmes. She was born June 11th, 1943. She was a nurse and she adored taking care of people. And it would really become her downfall, in my opinion, is how much she like took care of people.
Oh, empathy to the end.
John Holmes was born August 8th, 1944. And at 15, with parental permission, he enlisted in the Army. After 3 years in the Army, he was honorably discharged. And in 1963, he moved to California. So he was kind of a handy person. So he did a lot of different jobs in California. He sold door to door. He worked in factories. He was an ambulance driver. And this is where he met Sharon. So after turning 21, they were married in 1965. In the early years of their marriage, John worked as a forklift driver. And the job was at a meat packing company. And in the warehouse, there was like obviously like, big freezers that you put the meat in. So the freezing cold air of the freezer mixed with inhaling of like the desert hot air actually made John experience a lot of health issues. So like the combination of going in and out of both, which is kind of wild when you think about it.
That kind of makes sense though. It was like, think about when you're like out shoveling or whatever, and then you come inside. Like, yeah, your lungs hurt once you start breathing the warm air again.
Yeah. And then it's dry desert dirt air.
Ooh.
And it's like extremely hot. So you're going from like, kind of, like when they say you're not supposed to go in and out, like from the pool to the hot tub in and out, because it's like really bad for you.
Oh, I always do that though.
Yeah, they just say you shouldn't.
I mean, I say like, always do that. The, once every 2 years when I have access to both a pool and a hot tub.
Right. Okay, well, eventually this issue caused his lung to collapse 3 times in just 2 years, along with like a bunch of other lung issues. So he quit, okay, because of all these health issues.
Got it.
So I have a question for you.
Oh, you got 2.
How is it using a urinal next to somebody else?
Oh, there is a whole set of etiquette. All right.
Oh, teach us, because I don't know.
Oh, every man knows this. Like,
well, I'm not a man.
So if there are more than 2 urinals, you do not stand next to somebody. It's like an unspoken rule, unless you're absolutely forced to. So like, say there's 4, right? And there's one at the like each end. Then you have to kind of like figure out which one you're gonna go in. Okay. But like if there's 4, you'd go at the end one, right? So you're not between 2 people. You're only between one person and the wall.
Okay. And you just like look forward, right? Just don't even.
Well, sometimes there's like a divider wall. Sometimes there's not. But yeah, you just like, you look forward. You mind your own business. The worst though is in North Michigan. For some reason, a lot of bars like dive
aren't they
bars,
like the troughs?
Yeah, it's just like a trough instead.
Trough.
And for some reason to me that just like it feels so wrong.
It just seems
like
really
everyone's
weird.
just peeing in a giant bowl. I don't know. I have like a shy bladder anyway. I don't love urinals, especially if they're busy, but whatever.
Why could it be a man?
Hey, I'd much rather that than having to touch every public restroom toilet seat.
Well, you have to squat so you don't touch.
That seems like a lot of legwork.
Or you get those things, the like the liners that go on the seat. Yeah. While recovering from his collapsed lung and being jobless, John would frequent a men's card playing club. This is where, while using the urinal, a photographer complimented what Holmes was packing and told him he could find work in the underground adult film business and gave him a business card.
Okay, that is against every urinal rule.
Okay. Holmes ended up doing some nude modeling in a stag film. Okay. And yeah. And one day while Sharon was at work, she came home early and she found Holmes, measuring his junk in the bathroom. And Sharon was quoted saying, "He told me that this was going to be his life's work, that this was going to make him famous. I looked at him like, what planet do you come from?" Okay.
I mean, you know what? At least he's got dreams and goals.
Right. So by the late 60s, he was deep into his career. Okay. So Sharon, being Sharon, allowed John to still live with her, and they remained.
Did we have to use the phrase "deep into"?
Yes, I did. I was hoping you'd catch that.
I tried to let it go, but my brain just wouldn't.
So they remained legally married, but they had no relationship, as she thought his career choice was disgusting. So she just couldn't even look at him. She couldn't fathom what he was doing, but she didn't want to leave him.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying about Sharon just being that good person. It's, girl, come on now.
I feel like too, the 80s divorce wasn't nearly as.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that she so deeply loved him and thought one day he would choose her. And she wanted to remain a constant in his life for when that moment came.
Got it.
Which is really fucking sad. Move on, girlfriend. Soon in John's career, he met Hawaiian porn director Bob Chin, okay? And at first, Bob thought John was kind of goofy looking. He was scruffy looking and he had big curly afro looking hair, as Chin described. He just was like, yeah, I don't really see what's, like special
Doesn't
about
have
you.
the look.
But then he dropped his pants, okay? Now,
hey, listen, Ron Jeremy didn't get famous for his face either, all right?
So Chin wrote a whole porn series portraying John as a private detective based off of like his looks, like being a private detective. Johnny Wad was his stage name.
No.
Johnny Wad.
No. I'm gonna pull a Kara. I hate this. At least he's trying to give depth to the porn. There's a whole story.
Yeah. So whatever. He became like, there was a quote, I should have wrote it down, but it said, what Elvis was to acting, John Holmes was to porn. Like he was the king of porn.
Is this Boogie Nights?
Mm-hmm.
I knew the name sounded familiar.
It's based on, Boogie Nights is loosely based on him.
I'm like, everything sounds so familiar, but it's just not hitting me. Okay, we're good.
He was reportedly making $3,000 a day by the late 70s.
Dang.
Johnny Wad.
That's a lot of money in today's money.
Right. At that time, like his work wasn't legal though. So he was often arrested for pimping, pandering, Now, okay. When an actor's role will sometimes like go to their head and like long after the job like is over, the skill or like whatever, it's still like embedded in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how everyone was bitching forever that Austin Butler won't stop fucking talking like Elvis?
I don't know who Austin Butler is.
Oh, okay. He just did an Elvis movie and I guess it was really great. But anyway, he's like, because I immersed myself in Elvis.
Acting.
Yes, he's like, I can't actually stop. Okay, it's like that, right?
So like anytime anybody's worked with Jared Leto.
Right. So I think John's private detective character went to his head because he would avoid prison time by becoming an informant for the LAPD.
Oh, no.
Okay. As an informant, he worked alongside Vice Detective Thomas Blake, and Blake said he was a pleasure working for him. Like, he legit worked with this detective all the time, and he would just
as if he was another PI.
Yep. And he would just he would basically bust people for like drug or porn rings, all this stuff, like whatever he wasn't involved in. Oh yeah, go bust all these people while I go make my movies and make all my money.
I was gonna say, it takes out his competition, so win-win for our boy.
I mean, yeah. Okay, so almost 10 years into this lifestyle, like by the 80s, Holmes was full blown into the cocaine and drug life. Obviously, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I could see how his choices led him there.
Right. And this is why this story is just a wild one. Because, okay. It eventually, though, affected his performance, I bet you can imagine, at work. So he wasn't able to, keep an erection because of all the cocaine. You kind of need that, Johnny Wad.
Too much speed, buddy.
So basically, to support himself once that kind of was happening, he turned to like petty theft. He was selling drugs to gangs. He was selling himself to men and women. He was doing credit card fraud. He would steal luggage at airports and then sell all the contents in them, which is kind of genius. Just go take a bunch of fucking luggage. And like, I was like, dang, that's actually really smart.
It's hard to get busted on that one.
But I guess like what really would be in the luggage though? That, you know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be like clothes and stuff.
Right.
Mostly.
Unless it's on the return home, then you got all the souvenirs and shit.
Yeah, that's true. Well, while like still at the height of his XXX career, Sharon was managing the Glendale Courtyard Apartments, okay? Mm-hmm. And then from time to time, John would like try to make his marriage work, and he would kind of pause his shenanigans, and he would like go back to Sharon, and he would kind of do all the handiwork around the apartment. And, I think that's kind of also why she held on, because he would have these spurts of like wanting to maybe get out of all of that and come back to her. I don't know.
Makes sense.
So he would kind of do that. And then this brings us to Dawn. Dawn Schiller was born in 1961. In 1976, at the age of 15, her parents were getting a divorce. So deciding to leave her mom and Florida, Dawn and her younger sister and father hitchhiked their way to California. He was kind of like a hippie type, it was like late 70s, whatever. So it's like
Got
you
it,
know.
got it.
Okay, so meeting and getting a ride along the way, they hear that they can possibly stay at the Glendale with a girl that lives there. What a damn time to be alive.
Seriously, just let everything work itself out.
Get a ride from somebody that's like, oh, I manage, sometimes I stay with this lady at the Glendale apartment. She'll probably take you in. What?
Different times, man.
So
Nobody locked
weird.
their doors.
Do you feel the most powerful and beautiful with the elements of the earth around you? Do you like one-of-a-kind jewelry? Do you sometimes feel like a woodland fairy? Me too. That's why I created Holly and Hemlock, a magical shop filled with handmade wooden jewelry and metaphysical tools. Come check out our enchanting wooden wares at www.hollyhemlock.com and join us in honoring the magic and beauty of nature with each unique creation. That's www.hollyhemlock.com.
So weird. So, arriving, the girl calls the complex manager, Sharon, for permission to take in this family. Sharon has her husband, John, check out the situation. This is a trigger warning because the then 32-year-old John would begin to hang out with 15-year-old Dawn and her 14-year-old sister.
Oh, God.
So now, like most grooming starts off seemingly innocent. Dawn didn't know about Johnny Wad. She actually said, we related on a really childlike level. I didn't know that the business he was in, he'd do silly, cute, charming things around me. He liked my innocence, the fact that I had nothing to do with the porn industry, showing me different ways to be creative in the garage, redoing furniture, that kind of stuff. So that's how it started. He would kind of like let them hang out while he was doing stuff around the apartment complex, kind of teach them furniture remodeling and shit like that. Like it, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Start innocent and then not so much.
So another quote from Dawn is, he gradually showed me who he was. That aspect of him, he was scared that I was going to be scared of it. This is how it started, and then it progressed into him, you know, driving the girls past the Pussycat Theater. And this was a obvious move so the girls could see his name listed on the marquee.
Oh.
Yeah, come on.
Wait,
Mm-hmm.
They were listing it on the marquee?
Mm-hmm.
Like porn then? Oh, I guess there was no internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Weird.
So that then kind of moved into him stopping in front of the theater and getting out, so that they could see the chaos that would ensue when people realized that he was there. Because, you know, he's freaking famous. Everybody, like, loved him. Well,
Right.
Not everybody, but, you know. And so, basically, he would, like, pull up, get out, and, like, you know, light a cigarette, be cool. And all of these fans would come up. Like, paparazzi would be taking pictures. Like, people would be screaming. Like, oh, my God, he's here. You know what I mean? And, like, the girls would just be in the car uncomfortably, like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what?
Like, why is he taking them around anyway? I guess
Right.
to like show him the notoriety, but
gross little fucker. That's why, because he's a gross fucker.
Yeah.
So then John would start to take only Dawn out and about. Okay. And he became possessive of her. And she was said that he would like get upset if she didn't come home from school right away, like things like that. Okay. This is where I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a different time, but like typically now your mother would never let you just like go hitchhike with your dad after you get a divorce. She'd probably be like, no, you stay with me. But also your dad wouldn't just let you go with a fucking porn star, just like going out and about. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? One night, he takes Dawn to Zuma Beach, and the still 15-year-old, at this time still 15, sleeps with John. And Dawn said, at the time, he was very sincere. I was very much in love with this guy. Swept off my feet at 15 years old.
You were 15 years old.
Well,
he was
let me finish the quote.
I'm sorry.
I was 15. Look at Elizabeth Smart. She was also 15. That's a 15-year-old's brain mentality. And that is why these situations happen, because 15-year-olds are dumb. They're dumb. And that's why you need parents to help guide you so that you don't get stuck in these dumb situations.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah, it gets worse. Dawn's dad decides to leave, and he wants to go back to Florida. And he allows Dawn to stay, making her more dependent on John because she has nobody else. This is where Sharon's caring for other people's really, 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 really becomes her downfall. Now, we know that she was still allowing John to kind of come in and go and live with her and stuff like that. She took in Dawn, knowing exactly what the situation was.
Okay, that was going to be my next question.
Yep.
So she knows, and Dawn knows who she is.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. We all know about each other. Sharon said, I hate to see injured people or dogs, and I just adopted her. I couldn't see her out there staying outside with just a shirt on. She became a daughter to me. I needed to tell her she had a brain. She didn't need to accept what was going on.
Oh.
And she tried. I have goosebumps, actually, because, okay.
If you wanted to help her, then get her out of the situation she's in.
She tried. She'd give her money. She'd give her clothes. She'd feed her. She would try to buy her tickets to go back to her mom. She did for years.
Ugh.
Okay, so like I previously said, by the 80s, he's a junkie. He's not doing movies. He's doing whatever he can to get his drugs to support his habit. And at this point, John is pretty much pissed off all of LA, and he basically became a delivery boy for those dealers that would still tolerate like his mooching. Because at this point, I mean, he's in and out of like drug houses. I mean, he's swapping drugs for this person, bringing them here. He's, in
like just full blown in it.
Full blown. I mean, and he can't even function. He is literally going to one person with the money from somebody else. Like he's just to get a scrape of cocaine. You know what I mean? Like he's not even surviving. Like he's just living in and out of motels. Like it's terrible. Unfortunately, Dawn being like 15, 16 years old, doesn't know anything else. She's coming along with him, right? Like he loves her, she loves him, and that's just what it is. So she's along for the ride, not having anything else to do, really.
Is she using as well?
She started to, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she would accompany him at deals, and she would just have to wait in the car. And at sometimes she would wait days in the car.
Oh my
because
God.
he'd be on benders, right? So he'd be up there, dropping drugs off and shooting heroin and binging coke and being on all of these, like, so she would sit in her car with her little fucking chihuahua for hours and hours and hours, no food, maybe a little bit of cocaine, she'd say, and then sometimes days she'd just sit there because she wasn't allowed to leave.
That's so horrible.
While he went on like these benders, that's again, everyone's like, they're like not tolerating him as much anymore, right? It's like, okay, right. You can do our little deeds, but like get the fuck out of here. And he eventually
You good?
No. He eventually took to selling Dawn for drugs.
Oh, I mean, it's not horribly shocking, but it's still horrible.
But then he would beat her after for being dirty. And he would subject her to scalding hot baths, and he would scrub her until he thought she was clean.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So now you're disciplining her for the problem you created.
Exactly.
To a child.
To a child. On December 25th, 1980, desperate for money and coke, Dawn found herself forcibly at the residence of Eddie Nash. So Adel Garib Najrallah, or Eddie Nash, born April 3rd, 1929 in Palestine. His family owned 48 hotels there. Okay. So he's still living.
If you have 48 hotel money, why are you selling drugs? Like it feels like there's enough money there.
This is what happens. In 1950, Nash immigrated to the U.S. with only $7. Okay. He did odd jobs like acting and stunt work. He was an expert horseman. He appeared in a Western series called The Cisco Kid. But by 1960s, he opened a hot dog stand called Beef's Chuck on Hollywood Boulevard. And by the 70s, the $7 turned into multiple nightclubs. PJ's Club in West Hollywood.
From a hot dog stand?
From $7 fucking. I'm sorry. Listen, this is really bad because Eddie Nash, we'll get into it, but I am obsessed. I understand, like, I don't understand. $7 fucking. Okay, whatever. 70s. Like I said, he turns the 7 into nightclubs. Okay, so he's got PJ's Club in West Hollywood, the Sold Out Club in Hollywood, the Odyssey Disco, the Paradise Ballroom, the Seven Seas, Alibaba's, the Kit Kat Strip Club, and Nash didn't stop at real estate. He was a cocaine trafficker, being known as LA's cocaine kingpin, making him worth over $30 million in real estate and drugs in the 70s.
Insane. But like, when is enough?
Nash's drug association made him come across Holmes. Okay. So he meets Holmes because, like, the porn industry, he's got strip clubs, the drugs, whatever. Okay. When he met John, he was already exiled from the porn industry and he was dealing with a daily $1,500 cocaine habit.
Oh my God.
That's how fucked up John Holmes was. $1,500 a day cocaine habit. I can't even fathom how much cocaine that is a day.
Especially because, like, at the height, right, he was making, you said $3,000 a day.
Well, at this point, he hadn't been making money for a long time. So that's why
what I'm saying. So, like, now he's doing all these odd jobs and spent, oh my God, that's such an insane amount of money.
Right. So Nash became to think of Holmes as, like, a really good friend, and he often referred to him as, like, his cousin. Like, this is my cousin. Okay, so remember our Wonderland gang? Ron,
Yes.
Billy, and David? Okay. Well, at this point, they're getting sick of John and him mooching off the drugs and the money. Because at this point, he's showing up at their apartment pretty much daily, fucking mooching off all their cocaine, trying to do drug runs for them. Like, you know.
And you know he's skimming off the top of everything. So
Right.
no wonder why everyone's mad.
So between that and him going to Nash, he's just going back and forth, and he's just fucked up.
Is he still an informant at this time? Or did he
Yeah,
kinda
I mean,
get out of
not
that when he
really.
got out of acting?
Yeah, he kind of got out of it, but, like, he still had,
Okay.
like, his connections, you know. But John's little errand boy act is getting old. And Ron, however, like, it was said that Ron fucking hated him, but he kind of liked having John around to embarrass him at parties. So he'd often, like, make him drop his pants to show off the goods, like, as to party goers, like, kind of just fucking making fun of him, just, like, always fucking with him.
Literally just a jester.
Exactly. It was so bad, though, that John didn't even fucking care. Like, he'd still fucking show up at the parties and shit just so that he could fucking get drugs. He could meet other
he'd get his
people.
fix.
Like, exactly. At this point, John is severely in debt to the Wonderland Gang. And he's trying to come up with some sort of payment. And, you know, this is where it's like, I cannot fathom being in this lifestyle. He's telling them, the gang, that his friend, the Arab, is into exotic guns, and that the guns that Ron has could be traded for money and heroin. Okay. The gang's, like, fucked up. They're all, like, fiending. They're, you know, they're hyped up on cocaine, but they're fiending heroin. Okay. They are just fucked.
No, so nobody's
up.
making sound decisions at
No.
all.
So they're like, okay, fine, fucking take it. Take all the goddamn guns, take all these guns, go to your friend, get us fucking money and heroin, like, come back. Okay. Hours later, he returns. They are all fucking pissed. They're like, this house is supposed to be, like, up the road. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be back in, like, an hour. No, we're talking hours and hours and hours and hours, because Holmes is always going to spend hours and hours and hours wherever he is trying to get fucked up. Okay. So he comes back. Now, he doesn't have their guns, but he also doesn't even have a fraction of what the gang thought they should get in return for these guns.
Oh,
So they are fucking pissed, okay?
Well, at least the guns are gone.
Well, I guess, right? Holmes had already owed the money. This was kind of a way for him to, like, kind of clear the debt, right? But not really, because he's not doing anything. But now he's come back with, like, nothing, and they are fucking pissed. So Ron is literally going to kill him. He's going to kill him. And to protect himself, he offers up a plan. Okay. He's like, wait. The Arab that I was talking about, loaded. He's got tons of money, tons of drugs. We'll just rob him.
I don't feel like robbing the guy who deals in drugs and nightclubs is the best target.
Listen, they're like, we can steal the money, we can steal drugs, and we can get the guns back. It's a perfect fucking solution. However, Nash was not somebody to be messed with. The LAPD didn't even touch him. They let him fucking be because
That's
of
what
how
I'm
powerful he
saying.
was. All right.
And he now has all your firepower.
Right. So Dawn recalls, like, in a quote, she says, John told me that people had a way of disappearing from Eddie's, and that you were lucky if you found their bones in the desert. That was John's way of telling me that he was afraid of Eddie. So this, though, is where it's up for debate. If John actually told the Wonderland Gang that his friend that they were preparing to rob was in fact Nash. So he claims that yes, but it's up for debate, right? So it's up for debate if they even originally knew that Nash was the one that was potentially buying these guns. Like, they might not have even known, right? So you got to figure Holmes is kind of sketchy,
like, he's
right?
kind of making up like a third fall guy.
Right.
Because he
so
knows
like,
that you don't go rob the guy who the LAPD won't touch.
I don't really think that Holmes gave a fuck. I think he just wanted his drugs and to be out of debt, right? Like, I don't think he gave a shit. When the guns didn't get sold, that's kind of why it's up for debate. Did he come back and say, hey, Eddie Nash was the one that blah, 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 and now the gang's like, yeah, let's go fuck up Eddie Nash? Now, this gang is a legit gang. I don't think they would be afraid of Nash, but I don't know if they would actually willingly go in there to rob Nash either. So that's where we're like, it's a little hazy. All right. Well, regardless, the strung out men planned and plotted the robbery. John was to draw a map of the house or mansion, I guess you actually could say, where the safe was, the doors, exits, all the shit, right? He was to go to Nash's house, and then he was going to kind of visit, and he was going to leave the back sliding door open.
Okay.
And then this was the way that the gang could slip in quietly later without alarming Nash's bodyguard or anybody that was there.
Got it.
So on June 29th, 1981, it took John 3 times to complete the task of opening the sliding door. He went back to the house 3 separate times. So
Is he just forgetting because he's so fucked up?
I was going to say it's probably a combination of like not wanting to actually participate in this, wanting to, or he was being too fucked up because every time he went, he'd get fucking strung out. So it's like, or he just wouldn't be able to without getting caught. It's like unknown, but they were getting fucking pissed. They're like, bro, what the fuck? He finally was able to fucking do it. Now, being a junkie and like Nash's house was kind of like a party house, it wasn't too odd for John to keep popping up. And Nash loved him. So it really wasn't that big of a deal that he keeps popping up because there's always people at Eddie's house fucking doing drugs, partying, whatever. And like Holmes was Holmes. So he was kind of used to it. So it really wasn't that weird. So once the gang like, all right, we're good, blah, blah, blah. Apparently they got high.
Sounds about right.
And then they make their way to the house. So Tracy McCourt this is his little only role. He drives. So he drives Launius, Deverell, and Lynn to the house. It is unclear if Holmes was in this vehicle or not. Maybe, maybe not. Don't know.
Okay.
The 3 men enter the house and they like brutally invade the home at gunpoint. They make Eddie Nash beg for his life while he pleads and he prays. They put a gun to his house. They put a gun in his head. They put a gun to his mouth. I mean, they're like literally just ransacking the house. It's pretty brutal. Like Nash isn't a great person either, but it's fucking
typical
vicious.
Gang and drug.
Yeah, it's vicious. The gang made off with 1.2 million in cash, drugs, jewelry, and guns. And the robbery also resulted in Gregory DeWitt Dials, which was Nash's bodyguard, being shot and injured in the process of all of this shit. Okay.
It's pretty impressive that this guy has your guns and you still make off with all that in a robbery.
Yikes. It's fucked up.
At no point has this story been not fucked up.
Right. Here's the thing. If I was Eddie Nash, I would 100% think that like embarrassment like that is the one thing that's going to piss me off more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
So right away, it's said that Eddie knew that Holmes had involvement because his over appearance earlier seemed a little off now. The money, drugs, and jewelry stolen got divided, and a small portion was given to Holmes for his involvement, right? And it was kind of said that he threw a fit, like it wasn't as much as he wanted. And they were like, well, fuck you, because you didn't do shit. Like you opened the goddamn door, like your debt's washed.
To them.
Right. Here's this, get the fuck out of our face, right? It's said, though, that Gregory, which was the bodyguard, saw Holmes sporting one of Eddie's rings the day after the robbery. So can you imagine? Now, mind you, Eddie Nash's bodyguard is like over 300-pound big black man, and he just got shot last night because he was robbed, and he just sees you, squirrely little ass with your big dick wearing Nash's ring. What the fuck do you think?
Ring?
Exactly. What the fuck are you doing?
I mean, obviously he's out of his mind with drugs, but like, I feel like that's the number one. You know, you're going to be in the same circles. Like, it's so evident that you're going to get caught.
Right.
For that.
Okay. So Holmes being Holmes couldn't really stay away from Eddie and the drugs. So he ends up back at the house. Now, it's one of those things where in interviews,
Eddie's
Nash's
or
house. Nash's, yeah, Eddie's.
What?
Eddie Nash. Right. Now, here's the thing. Holmes kind of says, Well, I didn't want him to think I had any involvement, so I couldn't not go. I'm always there.
Okay.
Now, there are some that say that the bodyguard, Gregory, forced Holmes back to the house. So it's really unclear. Either fucking way, he ends up back at Nash's house. Okay.
I'm going to go probably with the bodyguard. He seems like a more reliable source.
So Nash, knowing the involvement, beat the shit out of him for the names of the men. Scott Thorson, who was a boyfriend of Liberace at the time, and he had a really bad drug habit, was at Nash's house buying drugs that day. And he claimed he witnessed Holmes being tied to a chair and repeatedly punched, and his family threatened until he revealed the assailants' identities.
Yikes. I mean, he kind of had it coming, though.
Right.
This is like the epitome of that phrase, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
100%. 4 p.m., July 1st, 1981, police entered 8763 Wonderland Avenue, Laurel Canyon, Los Angeles, California.
Oh, yeah, because Nash has the police on his side.
The site unregisterable. The site unregisterable. Unregisterable. Say the word.
Unregisterable?
Thank you.
I don't know that I've ever actually heard that word before.
Well, your brain wouldn't be able to register if you saw it. So it's unregisterable. 5 bludgeoned bodies were found in various positions and rooms.
Oh, so the cops.
Ron Launius, William Deverall, Joy Miller, Barbara Butterfly Richardson, and Susan Launius's bodies were brutally beaten with what they thought was a metal pipe.
Oof.
Joy Miller was found on her bed, with Deverall at the foot of her bed in an upright position leaning against the TV stand. A hammer was found at the bed, so it's actually a lot of different ways.
Ouch.
Launius was found beaten to death on his bed. Susan, who was visiting to patch things up with Ron, was beside him on the floor. Conveniently, Lind wasn't with his 22-year-old girlfriend while she was being brutally beaten. He was with a prostitute doing drugs. And Tracy McCourt was at his own home. Blood was covered everywhere.
Oh, yeah. That kind of blunt force trauma.
The photos are pretty brutal. And they're brutal, and you can't even clearly see the photos because they're from so long ago. Like, right. But they're brutal.
But you just know.
They're bad. Susan miraculously survived. She suffered brain damage and was left with permanent amnesia regarding, oh my God, I can't speak. Permanent amnesia regarding the night of her attack. And she had to have part of her skull surgically removed. And she lost one finger.
I'm shocked that they left her alive.
So it's said that I don't know if this is like real or not, but it said that she thought that she heard somebody say something like that, like this one's still breathing. And they said, don't worry, there's no fucking way she'll survive, essentially. So they just left her to die. Like, they didn't think that she'd survive.
Okay. Yeah, because I was starting to think of, like, was she left alive as,
No.
A warning?
There was no evidence of forced entry, making it appear that it was an inside job. And at 3 a.m., neighbors later reported hearing sounds of screams, but they didn't report anything. Because you have to remember, this is the 80s, and it's a party drug house. And so the neighbors endured a lot of ruckus and screams and all the in and out. So they
I can't imagine it's too far out of the norm.
Right.
Yeah.
So they stopped reporting shit. Basically, this is horrific, but they said that the apartment was so fucking ransacked, but they actually didn't know if it was from the murders or from all the other fucking filthy fuck face animals that would come for drugs and ransacked the house after they got there, realizing everyone was dead.
Oh.
They're pretty sure it's a combination of both.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep. So like little
just horrifying,
right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, with everything that I've just told you, who did it?
Well, I would have said Nash until you asked me that question, but I'm assuming there's a twist.
No, I'm just asking.
I'm gonna go with Nash and the bodyguard. Like it has. I would assume his team, but
I was like, I don't think Nash would actually do it himself.
Right.
Yeah,
but it'd be his crew.
Okay. Here's where it gets crazy.
Was it Holmes?
So obviously, the murder centered around Holmes, and the police had theories. So they originally arrested Holmes after finding his bloody handprint on the wall above Ron's head. So it had looked like, Ron was in the bed and he was bludgeoned to death. So it looked like his hand, like he was holding himself
like he was supporting himself.
Correct. They arrest him for that. So they think that, you know, he turned on the gang after he didn't get the original cut from the robbery. I didn't write all of this, but I pretty much, I've been obsessed with this case forever. So essentially what happens is they sit Holmes down, right? And they have his little LAPD informant man that he was like friends with or whatever. They interview him. They're like, what the fuck's going on? Holmes has this elaborate story, right? Basically kind of what I told you. He presents that we can, hey, the Arab, he's my friend. We can sell them the guns, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I come back and they're pissed that they didn't get enough. I tell them, no, don't worry about it. Like, we're not going to rob at Eddie Nash. And they're all like, yep, we're fucking robbing at Eddie Nash. You're fucking helping us. Draw a fucking map. So Holmes is like, they made me do it. They made me draw this map. They made me take them there, blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to do it. That's why it took me 3 times, because I was trying to tell Eddie, they're going to, like, they want their guns. Just give them their guns. And Nash is saying, fuck that. I'm Eddie Nash. Nobody can touch me type of deal. Whatever. Okay. Then he turns it around and basically says, yes, I called Nash because I didn't want to think I'm involved. I showed back up at the house. He beat the shit out of me and he made me go with his goon squad essentially, but I didn't see anybody. All I did was I didn't see anybody, but I just unlocked their door.
Then how does your bloody handprint end up on the wall?
Right. So then he kind of is like, well,
or did
yeah,
they not tell
no.
him that?
Well, so it gets really convoluted. So then they find Lind, right? And they're like, dude, Butterfly was just fucking murdered. She's 22 years old and has no charges. Nothing wrong with her. Like, she was just brutally fucking murdered. What the fuck happened? So Lind turns on Holmes and it's like, Holmes is a trash fucking filth bag. Like, it's all his fault. So then that's where it's like, it's, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a whole fucking he said, she said type of deal. But it all fucking boils down about drugs. Drugs.
That's why you don't do drugs, kids.
It's like, you could have just had a big dick and been happy with it by yourself at home with Sharon. Why did you have to do this?
Or even if you did the movie, it's just like save the money you were making from like $3,000
or that, yeah, that's
70s
fine.
money.
God. Okay, so so the cops think that like he turned, Holmes turned because he didn't get enough money and he willingly went to Nash and said, these are who did it, whatever. After a publicized 3-week trial, Holmes was acquitted for all criminal charges.
What?
Mm-hmm. Acquitted. For refusing to testify or cooperate with authorities, though, he did spend 110 days in...
How long is a dale? I must know. I need to know.
Days
like
in jail for contempt to court. Okay. So what type of fucking
nothing.
shit? Yeah. And I mean, he was like being all
so it was Eddie's guys, though.
In 1990, Nash was charged in California state court for having planned the murders. And Dials, his bodyguard, was
16
charged.
years later?
And Dials was charged as a participant. So Scott Thorson, remember Liberace's little boyfriend? He testified against them. But the trial ended with a hung jury vote of 11-1. A second trial in 1991 ended in an acquittal for both Nash and Dials as well.
I feel like
there's way
it's so hard
more
to
this
prove
case.
that from, like, why did it take 16 years to go to court? Just because Eddie was so untouchable?
That, and then like with Holmes, like, he was just like going back and forth, and then there's so much more to this case. Like, we could have made this like a 5-parter, because like then, you know, he wanted to be under the witness protection program, him, Dawn, and Sharon, because, you know, Nash was threatening to kill Sharon and Dawn and everybody and like all the shit. And so it was like, it got really bad. And like, you didn't know the real story, because you're
Right.
going off of Holmes and Lind. They're both trash fucking humans, drug addicts. And no matter what, everybody in this scenario was wrong, except for Butterfly.
And everyone's lying.
What did Butterfly do? So like I said, there's way more in this case, but we'd be here like all night. Holmes died March 13th, 1988 of AIDS related issues. And that's probably because he slept with 14,000 women.
Oh my God.
You heard that. 14,000 women.
I thought you were going to say 100. I was
No.
not prepared for 1,000.
So this is...
Where does Dawn and...
Listen, after his death, Sharon tells a story of John arriving at her house in the early morning, covered in blood, and claiming to have been in an automobile accident. and he wants a bath. Sharon says John has a habit where if he has something unpalatable to pass off, he gets into the bathtub. Kind of like, making Dawn take all those baths.
I was just going to say, it was like, it seems to be what his ritual somehow.
John is rambling. He's incoherent, and Sharon isn't finding any cuts or injuries. Remember, she's a nurse, so she's like, covered in blood, and he just shows up like in the wee hours of the morning. And so she's like looking for it, and he's rambling and, confused. She asks, he's talking about, there's so much blood and seeing people be killed. And she's like, these were people you knew. These were your friends. And he replies, they were scum. They deserved everything they got.
Oh, so he comes clean, like basically right away.
Mm-hmm. And that is my favorite, for lack of a better word, unsolved true crime case. And I've been obsessed with this for years because the people and the relationships are so fascinating to me. Like all the events that led us here. I don't understand. Like, I understand, but what the actual fuck? And we haven't done a murder in a minute, so I had to throw one in here.
What happened to Dawn?
Okay. So in 2000, after a 4-year investigation involving local and federal authorities, Nash was arrested and indicated on federal charges under the Racketeer Influenced Corrupt Organization Act for running a drug trafficking and money laundering operation, conspiring to carry out the Wonderland murders, and, this is funny, bribing the sole holdout juror on his first trial. So that 11-1 is because Nash got to that one and bribed that motherfucker.
That's not shocking.
Nope. So at least he finally got something. But I will end on a lighter note. Dawn took her fucked up experience, and she's now an advocate for domestic violence and grooming. And she's involved in a lot of really great like support groups. She wrote a book about her experience with Holmes. So she turned it around. And I really did want to put more of Dawn's story in here, but it was like kind of dark and tragic. And what's really sad is that she was with him for 5 years, and she did end up breaking away, and she moved away with her mom for a while, but he would call every day, every single day. And he would talk to her mom and he'd be like, tell Dawn I love her, every single day. And like one day she took the phone call and she didn't say anything. And he said something like, baby, I can hear you breathing. And she was quoted saying like, I just knew like my breath was like hope for him, like just hearing that. And so then she went back, and then it was like, I think like 6 months after like all of this happened.
Oh, so she was like around.
Oh, she was around forever. I mean, he was horrible to her. He put her in like brothels. He like beat the shit out of her. One day he wigged out and threw her in the back of the car and drove around for like days. It was wild.
What about Sharon?
Sharon just ended up like divorcing him, thank God, and like living her own life, and just kind of like, she didn't talk to reporters. I mean, you could barely find stuff on Sharon.
Not unscathed. That's not the word I want to use at all, but at least they survived it. I mean, I'm sure they have a lot of work to do in therapy, but wow, interesting. Yeah, I knew the name. But okay, so I was thinking about it more. Is that Boogie Nights, or
it is? It's loosely based off of that. But one of my favorite movies, which I'll let you borrow it, it's a really good movie, is called Wonderland. And
that's what I'm thinking of, because
have you seen that movie?
Boogie Nights? He's in Boogie Nights, but Boogie Nights was more Dirk Diggler, wasn't it?
I don't know. I never watched Boogie Nights, but I know that it's loosely based off of Holmes in Boogie Nights. But Wonderland is for anybody that wants more information, there's a lot more in it. And I guess Dawn didn't help write it, but she like had some whatever
artistic creative license or something.
But that's a really good movie, and it's really, really creepy because if you watch Holmes interviews and then you watch what's his name? Oh my God, who played Holmes? Oh my God, I'm so fucking mad that it's not coming.
Val Kilmer.
Thank you. He plays him so fucking well. His little weird tics and mannerisms are so on point. It's fucking creepy. It's like jarring when you watch an interview of Holmes and then you watch him play. Oh,
I feel like I watched that movie a long time ago. I need to watch it again.
Yeah, we can watch it together. I have it.
Nice job, though.
Yeah, so it's really fucked up, and it's one of those cases where I hate saying it's my favorite true crime case because that's awful, but it really is one I'm so fascinated in. And if you deep dive into like Eddie Nash, like it's like, how did you? I don't understand these people. Why do I love like the bad guys? Like I love Ron Launius and Eddie Nash. Like, how did you get here? You know what I mean? Like, you have all of this power. Why are we doing what we're doing
like all of them
it?
have enough legitimate businesses that they didn't have to go this route. Like, what is it that makes you like about the drug life that makes you tick? It's got to be that living on the edge kind of like adrenaline junkiness.
I can definitely see myself in another life have been married to like an Eddie Nash and just like, yeah, touch me.
Oh my God.
All right. So thanks to pimp.name.com, I was able to get your porn star name.
Ooh, what is mine?
Ricky Stone.
Oh, Ricky Stone. That's lame.
I don't know. It literally just said, "Are you a male?" And I hit male and it said Ricky Stone. Mine, Christy, Texas.
Funny that it's Christy.
I know.
Wait, so you only put in male or female?
That's all you had to do. Yeah, no.
All right.
So
what's the website again in case people want to go figure out their porn name?
Pimp.name.com. You could also, I think it was like your gang name, it was weird. There was like a lot of stuff.
Oh my God. All right. Well, at least we left it something a little lighter. There
is way, 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 way more information. Like I wish I could have fit in there because there's so much more to this case. The trial part and the back and forth is actually really fascinating. I just can't write about that. So I highly suggest people look into a little bit more or watch Wonderland because it goes back and forth. It's like really, it's good. But
all right. So Kara's left you with some movies, some research recommendations. What we want from you is if there's any unsolved or murdery stories that you want us to cover, let us know. Drop them literally anywhere. Comment on YouTube. You can go on Twitter or Instagram or our website. Find us on all the socials. Oh, that's your line.
All the things. We've been here.
She's pretty.
Yeah, we've been here for so long. So thanks for listening. We really love and appreciate you. But most importantly, creep it real, y'all balls.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Oddity Shop.